Grand Rising, Jackson. Grand Rising, Jackson, Mississippi. I hope everybody doing well today. You know, it's a good morning for a Thursday. I just came on here. I wanted to come on here today. Like we normally do. How's everybody doing? I hope you had a good night's sleep. I hope you had a good night. You know, and whatever issues that may have arise, I hope you was able to handle it and got through it. If you're not, if you're still getting through it, you know, may you get through it safely. But anyway, so, but anyway, we just, yeah, I got something I wanted to ask today. Will David Archie get his seat back at the Board of Supervisors? I guess what's this guy? What's this guy? What's his name? Tony Smith or something like that. But my thing is, first of all, I'm not gonna say nothing derogatory about nobody. My thing is this. Now I read the information, and I'm quite sure many of you have read the information about this whole entire thing, and this man is trying to assert his rights. And this is what I talk about on my other channel about you asserting your rights. It doesn't matter what you're going through, I mean, I don't care what it is. Don't let nobody run over you. Don't let nobody tell you what the law is. If you ain't seen it for yourself, if you ain't put your physical eyes on the words or listen to it, or however you absorb the information, whether if it's through a text, through listening, or whatever the case may be. However, still you need to know the information. And David Archie ain't doing nothing no different than nobody else is doing. But the only thing about this is, in my opinion, they're making this a big spectacle. They're making this a spectacle of it because it's a public official type situation. I don't know. But I know that don't happen in other places. Excuse me. Yep. This is not an AI thing. AI can't do that. Yeah. But, and a lot of times the stuff don't get to the news in other communities. A lot of stuff don't get to the news in other communities. Because you know why? Because they want to do it quietly. Because if there is something going on, they don't want to expose nobody. People, is susceptible to keep their jobs. So let's just keep that. Let's just look at that for what it is. A lot in some communities. I ain't saying all, but some communities. They keep it quiet because there may be something going on. And I'm not quite like looking at this thing here, I'm looking at this thing here like, I just think that this cat is asserting asserting his rights. He had the right to appeal, he had a right to challenge, he had a right to do all of that if he was in his, he had all his paperwork, he did his due diligence, he hired his attorneys and they did their due diligence. Hey, look here, settle it. Let's get it done. Let's make it happen. Let's make it happen. If them suckers is wrong, let's call them out for what they are. Straight up. And that's what's going on. But everybody's sitting around there on the hush being quiet about stuff and they don't say nothing. And they stick their head in the sand like an ostrich. Let me tell you something. I want to put as much exposure on things as possible. For example, like for me, I'm totally blind. When you close your eyes, that's what I see. Right? And I'm just saying, I'm just gonna keep that a buck here. You know what I'm saying? Yo, man, look, bro. I'm just trying to go in and wash somebody's dishes. Wash somebody. I don't look. Let me tell you something. I have worked. I had worked for ever since I was 14 years old, and I'm like, okay, what's so hard about washing dishes? Give me a break. Why would you discriminate against me? Because you don't know what my rights are. Huh? Let's look at that. And that's what David Archie doing. He know what his rights is, but they don't know what his rights is. And that's what this is. I'm just looking at it from, I'm using that as a perspective. You know what I'm saying? These folks don't know what my rights is. They discriminate. Nah, we can't hire you. We can't hire you. I'm not going to disclose my case, but, I'm not going to disclose, the whole, my case, but I'm just saying. We not, it's, I mean, come on. You can't do that. You can't do that. If you don't, look, when it comes to the disabled and you accepting Federal Reserve notes and you up under federal the federal rules and regulations, you got to abide by that mess. That's the same thing with David Archie. The same thing. Same different thing and no different. He just asserting his rights. And the ones who he's asserting it on, they didn't know what the man's rights is. And this is how they get away with it. This is how they get away with it. And you let them. You let them. You let them get away with it because you don't want no confrontation. You think these folks got big time lawyers. It is only so much that these stinking lawyers can do. It's only so much that they can do. Because look, I know one thing. Let me say this. Joe can say whatever they want to say about Judge Judy. But Judge Judy said once, she said it twice. And she said it more than 3 times. You do not have to have a good memory to tell the truth. I done heard several judges say that. You don't have to have a good memory to tell the truth. What can a big time attorney do about that? What can a big time attorney do about that if you're a plaintiff proving your case? How they gonna combat that? They can come up with all the strategies that they want to come up with, all the motions and legal jargon that they want to come up with. And a lot of times they come up with legal jargon just to trip you up. Nah. Tell the truth, you don't need to have a good memory. And you're going, I'm telling you. But what this is about is a man asserting his rights. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, look here. Whether this guy wins or he don't, it doesn't make a difference. Shout out to him. Shout out to him. Shout out to his family for standing by him. Shout out, you know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to disparage his opponent. I don't know his opponent. I don't know what his opponent, but I do know that, if you have rights to assert them. Assert them. And if you lose, you lose. But if you win, then you win. But don't do nothing. What, like Isaiah Thomas said, I'm going to either shoot us in or I'm going to shoot us out. But I'm not going to sit by and do anything. When he was playing basketball, Isaiah Thomas said, that played for the Detroit Pistons, he said either I'm going to shoot them in or I'm going to shoot them out. But I'm not going to stand by and do nothing. But anyway, plane landed on that. Anyway, so Also, I was also looking at this fire that happened over at the Jackson Square. You know what that's about. You know what that's about. Ain't nothing but an insurance thing. Yeah, I ain't saying. Ain't nothing but insurance. That's all that mess is. They never, you know what I'm saying? They supposed to be having uh, some basketball player both had bought the complex or part of the complex or whatever the story is, and he's supposed to be building some type of, some athletic sports center type situation. I don't know what he's. I mean, I just got the gist of it, and I'm just like, now there's a fire. It was a major fire over at Jackson Square over on Terry Road. Okay, now, you know, I mean, look, look, folks. I can't. I'm not going. I'm allegedly say it could have been an insurance thing. It's all alleged. It could have been an insurance thing, but I'm like, come on, man. Or it could allegedly be that someone said it just to prevent this individual from doing this. Who knows? I don't know. Do you know what happened? Come on, man. I'm just saying. Every time something, but let me say this. Let me drop a nugget, and you know, this is true, resident. You know what I'm. Every time when there's some outside source that's trying to do something, and you got another source is trying to do something else, somebody gonna catch fire. Isn't it sort of ironic? It is just kind of strange to me how ironic it is how that Metro Center was coming back. I'm going to hark on this real quick. How that Metro Center was coming back. You had all those stores in there. Victoria's Secret was still up in there. You had the shoe department was still up in there. You had the food courts, they was coming back. You even had police department up in there. The driver's license place was up in there. Folks were still spraying and doing their artwork. They were still up in there. They've been up in there for years. Barbershops was up in there. That Metro Center was moving at one point, right? Remember that? Then when that not Renaissance, but the outlet mall came over in Pearl, what happened? What happened? Then you had Burlington's over there. Burlington's had bought the place, from what I understood allegedly. Allegedly, they were supposed to have bought their part of the building. All that's gone. When that outlet mall came, Metro Center, all of a sudden they shut it down. What happened to the Arby's over there? I know Crystals, they rebuilt Crystals. What happened to Arby's? What happened with Arby's? Did they tear down that old McDonald's building? Man, come on. Let's keep that real. I'm just saying. But pay attention to that. Pay attention to that. I remember when North Jackson, when the North Park Mall, when they was revitalizing the North Park, the North Park Mall. I think it was in 2018, and they was revitalizing it and all that stuff with the food courts and all of that. Cause I remember distinctively because I was at the McBride Center for the Blind, and I was a day client at the time, and I went out there on mobility, and I remember that. in 2018. Oh man, that's whack. I mean, I just be paying attention to this stuff. It's just like I said. Now potentially we got the medical mall. I mean the Metro Center coming back, and all of a sudden now this fire happened over at the Jackson Square. I mean, come on. I don't believe in coincidences. I keep that. And then look. You know what I'm saying? And then I'm like, is that gonna deter? Is that gonna deter this cat from not rebuilding? Man, that community is still gonna be jacked up. If he pulls out, that community gonna be jacked up. Now the property gonna be blighted. Now the property gonna be blighted. Come on, man. Look, look. Let's just keep that. Look, I'm telling you, what's really going on here? I don't believe in coincidences. I don't believe in coincidences. Watch you hear something about that Metro Center. Now that fire happened, if that project over there, that Jackson Square, is halted, watch the process of that. Now, what's going to happen with the medical mall? Another question. I'm going to do some research on that. I'll get with y'all on Monday. I'll do some research on it. I'll get with y'all on Monday on that, about that medical mall. You know what I'm saying? I don't know anything about. I hear some things. I heard that. I know that the university's contract is up, and a lot of them folks is pulled out of there, and a lot of other folks coming in there and everything like that. But as far as the future of it, I don't know. We're gonna find out. But let me tell you something. Whatever plans they got, you know what I'm saying? Look out, because that means in other places there's gonna be problems. There's gonna be problems. Come on, man. Now, coincident. Let's just watch. Just watch this for a minute. I'm just watching. Brandon, Mississippi is getting some new apartment lofts and big time apartments and all that kind of mess over there. And there is going to be a grocery store coming over there. A new grocery store, allegedly. Right? Now, that's from what the mainstream media had put out. Now, I wonder what grocery store is coming over there. Just curious to know. I wonder if I really would like to know what the name of that grocery store is going to be. Because it's very ironic how a grocery store over in South Jackson pulls out and all of a sudden this pops up. Look. Pay attention. See? Pay attention. This type of stuff, you need to pay attention to, Jackson. You need to pay attention to a lot of the stuff that's going on. I don't believe in coincidences. And if you do, hey, look here. You just believe in them. And that's fine. But I'm going to tell you, that's what makes you tick. Keep on ticking. But I'm telling you, there's something more going on. Because I just watch every time something happens, every time something is getting ready to develop, something else, gets, for example, let me get an example. Let's look at Woodrow Wilson. Not Woodrow Wilson, excuse me. What was that? Just like that Food Depot over there, Mega Everest. That Mega Everest over there. It's a desert over there now. It's a desert over there now. Everybody got to go over to Meadowbrook to shop, or go over to West Jackson. Come over to West Jackson to store West Jackson, or or over at the store over at the medical mall to save a lot. or the store over in Dooling or something like that. Okay, what in the world is they going to develop over there in that area? More apartments? I think that's where I hear the data center is going to be coming to in that area, allegedly. Allegedly. So, hey, I'm telling you, what are they going to do? Now, I'm still harking on that South Jackson has been treated wrong. But it's very, like I said before, I don't believe a coincidence is how Brandon is going up with these apartments, and they're supposed to be having some grocery store coming there. What is the name of the grocery store that's going to be coming to Brandon, Mississippi, to serve those residents over there? I have no problem with that. That's totally fine. But my problem is if, allegedly, you take out, you stop working, you take your business and you go over into another community. I'm not saying that's what happened. I just said I'm not saying that's what happened. But that's what sure in the heck what it looks like. It sure the heck it looks like. I could be wrong, but it looks like that. You take out your business and go into another community. And I would not be surprised if that had happened. That fellow took out his business over in Terry Road to go over to Brandon. I would not be surprised if that's his business over there. That's the new alleged grocery store that's going to be coming over to Brandon. I would not be surprised. It would not surprise me at all if, allegedly, we got to say allegedly, because I've seen that happen too many times. One store go out, another store pop up. That store pops up somewhere else, and you leave a community, and I'm talking about that was a high traffic area. What company wouldn't want that area? That's a high traffic area. Man, I swear. I promise you, look, if I had the financial capability, I'm going to be real. If I had the financial capability, I wouldn't run it myself. But I would put up there, I would be like Donald Trump, like that, and put up that bread and have somebody run that joint and redo the whole thing and make it for the community of Jackson, of South Jackson, and provide jobs. Man, please. Too much like right, and I'm telling you, when there's money involved, man, folks act funny. Folks act real funny when it comes to money. All of a sudden now you find money. All of a sudden now you can get permitted for this. You can get permissions for this, permissions for that. Yeah, when you got money, you can do what you want to do. And I'm this is not a black and white issue. This is a money issue. This is a money issue. But let me say this, it's also influence too. It's also influential, because I don't care how much bread. A lot of times it doesn't matter how much bread you got. If you ain't got no point of influence, you get nothing. You get Nathans. Hey, what can I say? What can I say? I just hate that South Jackson, that crap going on over there in South Jackson. And the time is ticking. It's still going on. Ain't nothing still moving over there. Now Family Dollar done left. And I hate it. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I don't like to use that word, but I really hate it. that you're going to have foreigners come in here that don't care about the community, and they don't care about the standards. They don't care about no standards. They don't care about no community. And they come in here. You know, I just wish that I knew. I really do. I really wish I knew how to acquire some type of grant funds, something like that, because I would definitely would love to secure something like that for a community like as such. You know, because that's why I say in solidarity, we have to be in solidarity. Let me say something. I'm gonna be real. I appreciate we putting our time and energy on certain things, certain wrongs and rights and wrongs and stuff. But the energy that we put in certain things that's right and wrong, we need to be putting it into our communities. You know, we be protesting and all that stuff, and that's fine, totally fine. Because a lot of times, certain things need to be protested. Certain things need to be protested because, you know, it creates a problem. If it's creating a problem for your community, yes, protest it. But in the meantime, we need to be doing something a little bit more financially constructive to keep our community built up, where we're financially independent, where we ain't got to depend on no outside resources to come in and help us develop our communities. There should not be one, I'm sorry to say it, but there should not be one Indian store in the black community. Black community should have their own store. They should have their own store. But no, they don't want to do that. The black community, we should have our own store, doing our own thing, not depending on nobody to come in there and put a business there, so we can patronize it as buyers. You know what I'm saying? We just not just consumers. We need to have our own businesses. Straight up. I don't know. Flint going through this. You know what I'm saying? New Jersey going through it. You know, Newark, New Jersey going through it. Brunswick, you know what I'm saying? New Jersey going through it. You know, I be looking at a lot of council meetings. And I'm looking at how the residents be coming in there weighing in on how they being treated by either by the mayor or by the city council itself, or by some local official within that community. Folks is going through it. Folks is going through it in Alabama. Folks in Alabama going through it. Folks in Georgia going through it. Come on, man. Come on. Come on. So I'm just saying. You know, but like I said, until we understand that we gotta get ourselves together financially, we can do all the marching and protesting and picketing and all that stuff. Is fine and dandy. That's cool. That should be for a set of people, right? On this side on one side of the fence, but then on the other hand, there need to be somebody doing their due diligence and getting some financial, we getting our finances together, and we start building. While we protesting over there, we building over here. We got control over what goes on in our neighborhood, and the way we got to do it financially. We got to do it financially. We got to do it politically. No, we don't want that mess over here. We got control of our community. If you start setting up a business in your community and everybody's patronizing that business, I about guarantee you a point of influence is going to come just like that. Point of influence is going to come like that. Nah, that's hurting our business. And believe me when I tell you, they frown on businesses being hurt because it's creating jobs. It's creating taxpayers. Remember that. Remember that. So, well, I'm finna land my plane on that. You know what I'm saying? And I just came on here. I want to say thank you for watching and listening. You know, this is the morning show for the 601 Network. This is real Jackson news. We ain't playing. We ain't playing. Hey, I'm Raphael Bird. Listen, tomorrow is going to be another day. It's going to be Friday. It's going to be Friday. Man, look, stop playing. Y'all need to leave me a Cash App or something. You know, brother, yo, brother struggling. Oh, brother, and what they say down here in the SIP, brother struggling. Nah, I'm just kidding. But I just want to say, look, you know, I would appreciate it. Would be $1, $5, $10. It doesn't make a difference. Leave it in, you know, just leave your Cash App. And that's at Dollar Foresight 718. That's Dollar FORESIGHT 718. Just leave me a Cash App, you know, and you know we will. But tomorrow we're gonna get into something lighter tomorrow, you know, because tomorrow is Friday, and you know we're gonna be doing something different on Fridays or whatever the case may be. So, and but until tomorrow, we will see you. Stay up, stay safe, and stay encouraged.